Hello, everybody. This is, are you sure there's nothing else going on at this hour? It's just, you saw this and go, we have to see these people. Okay. So, well, we're excited to have you here. This is definitely a bigger crowd than we've had been gathering around. And usually we're meeting with a bunch of librarians that are angry at us as opposed to people that actually want to know what we're doing. They'll tell you what we're doing for sure. But it's been definitely a big ride for us and really fast. So kind of give you a little bit of what we're doing here. So, that was thanks, Brad. It really is the madness. Some of our story is in 2014 we passed a technology levy in our school district, and it funded about $18 million to provide technology to students. And so about a year and a half, well, not even that, maybe a year and a half ago, I was asked to take on this new position and to lead a project and pick up a plan, I thought, and coming with a plan, and there's no plan. I keep looking for this plan, and then there wasn't one. So it was kind of like, okay, so now what do we do? Well, we want to get these things out as fast as possible. Okay, so we did a lot of work and did a lot of piloting that following fall of last year. I got a couple schools up and running one-to-one, about 1,000 students, and then this year we're neck deep in 912 one-to-one iPads and climbing fast. I think we have about 9,000 iPads right now, Paula? Yeah, Paula and Jeff are really shy, and I couldn't even get them to come up here. But later on, they're going to be definitely your Q&A buddies here. So Jeff is I have monitors. I'm not used to this either. Sorry. We have a boardroom that doesn't have a working microphone, so this is great. So Jamf is our product of MDM, right? So we're using Casper this year. Jeff does the DEP program for us and does all our iOS and OS systems. Paula does our purchasing, all of our setup, Apple IDs. She's been managing the Kiosk this year that we just started doing for our under 13 iPad Apple ID enrollment. And so, you know, behind they are really the motor that's turning a lot of our items and having the deployment work well for students and teachers at a scale that we're trying to move at. We've moved on beyond the Apple gift card and iTunes card and trying to put it on and get one Apple device at a time or one cart with configurator. So this is gonna we never be able to do what we're doing now without these products. Who we are. Okay, so this is where we are. These are not moving. Okay. So we're located outside of Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma is about 30 minutes south of Seattle. We have 18,000 students and growing. So one of our other problems that we have is I got this fixed budget, right? And we had planned for X number of devices plus staff and support folks. This year we grew by 600 students. So from last June when the doors closed to this September, we have 600 new students at the door. So our trajectory shows growth, but not this fast. And so we'll have maybe a problem come down another year from now. If we keep growing, we won't have enough funding to actually deploy all of our devices. But our goal is right now we're going to have 22,000 iPads deployed by the end of the school year of 2018. So from today to just from 3 years from now, we have a lot of devices we're putting out. Like I said, we have put out almost 7,000 this fall for a total of 9,000. So it's going very, very fast. And that's kind of that madness component that was kind of on that first screen. You're right, it doesn't like to click. There we go. Okay, so implementation of support. Our journey. And during these slides, you can maybe find the iPad picture in there. So kind of taking our idea, our superintendent's idea was we want technology, we want more access to technology, and we want our students to be able to have a better opportunity in school, learn more skills, help our teachers enhance their already good teaching. And so that was kind of the start of this. We really have this instructional focus. Excuse me. Instructional focus is why we chose iPads. We went down the Chromebook route. We still have about 2,000 Chromebooks. We have PCs. We have Mac devices. We're about 90% Apple in our district. So that helped us with the iPad kind of piece, but in the end, it was really about the instructional framework behind Apple Education, the PD available, and then what we thought was more of a transformative device in the classroom that we could do more than just test on. So although we do have Chromebooks, we use them, they're easy to deploy, really fast, and they're cheap. That's pretty much what they do. They test and they web surf and you can share docs. And so we wanted to be able to do more, and it's not as easy to videotape yourself or other people with a Chromebook and storing. We had the Wi-Fi issues. So how do we take home and do work at home if a kid doesn't have Wi-Fi. So really that instructional focus really led us to where we are right now with iPads, and where we have kids now that are having their entire math book on their iPad, and it's mobile for them, and they can annotate, and they can send it in their learning management system, and so on. So it's really good. It does give us our secure testing as well, so that was a factor. So grades 3 through 12, we have the full-size iPad because of testing requirements, screen size. And then we're doing K2, we're doing iPad minis right now. And that's seemingly working out well right now for those younger students with smaller hands, and they're able to do that. And then mobility, we wanted to be something really portable. We found some schools that had one-to-one laptops, provide a lot more power, of course, but they're heavy. And the kids didn't want to bring them and take them everywhere. And so we found that this was another good solution for us. So you can see that and we do have classrooms that look like this now, right? So they're like that, and we're just giving them iPads instead of doing books. They're doing iPads, but nothing has changed sometimes in those classrooms. So we are working with staff as well as that. Okay, so the timeline. I kind of talked this a little bit. So this is what we did last year: 1,700, 7,000. This year we'll do 12,000 total, and then 17,000. Part of the thing is right now our kids don't take the iPads home over the summer. So really we're redeploying this amount of devices. And so that's the other challenge. One, we have 1,900 iPads in one high school right now. We're trying to figure out where we're going to put them all when we end the school year. I mean, because we had them in boxes, right? They brought them, they give them to the kids, and now they're not a problem. But now we got to collect them and like, oh, what do we do? Plus you have to have them all charged up, at least 50% probably. You got to make sure that find my iPads off, so that way in case they don't come back, which a lot of kids don't. You know, we got to check for damage. It's a entire new workflow and process that we did at a small scale at a middle school, but 700 students is a lot easier than 7,000 that will happen this fall. And so we debated even a central storage area. Right now, we don't even have a central storage area in the district, like a warehouse space that would be available to us. So any ideas out there, we'll take them. The other one we're really toying with down the line is, do we collect them? Do we just send them home? You know, we do believe in the theory that learning doesn't stop when the bell ends on June 15th. So it'd be great for them to take them home. We have the other piece of how many will we get back? You know, so that's the other scary part, but it also solves a problem with us not having to store them, and allows kids to have a device available to them all summer, where many of our families, that might be their device. So it's one of those pieces we're looking at too. And then 22,000. But right now our trajectory could be as high as 23,000 students, and that's a problem also. So here we go. Next one. Keys to success. So really our biggest one was, I'm not showing. Okay, sorry, my screen's not matching yours all the time. Apple ID. So it really should be a 4-letter word, and I got. Our engineer, Mark, is over here, and he's great, and he's available also afterwards if you want to pick his brain. But and he knows, we talk and joke all the time, but this has been our biggest struggle, is getting Apple IDs to work for students, especially the U13 program. So even though we create them first, and they come after the summer and they forget their password, so you go into change your password, and then they can't find my ID, so we go to find my ID, and then, oh, no, you're hanging up because you've been uploading to Kiosk, and oh my gosh, it's just forever. So Apple ID has been the adventure, I would say. We've learned a lot about Apple ID, and I think most of our staff, including myself, can work at a Genius Bar at this point, and solving iPads. And the bad part is when your kids play soccer and they have kids from the district on the team, and then during this game, it's like, hey, Mike. I go, oh, hi, Joe, another father, and so my daughter can't get her SelfService to download, and I was wondering, I'm like, well, I could probably try to resend it right now, but it's kind of never ends. And so this is kind of a piece where you got to learn, if you do this, you got to have people that are willing to be patient and learn a lot, and everyone becomes really an iPad technician at that point. The volume purchasing program, the VPP program, is key. We couldn't deploy these iPads and deploy all the apps without being able to purchase groups of apps. Right now we purchase, I think, 20,000 at a time when it's a free app, and we just scope them all out and then we're done. So that way it just takes the thinking out of that. The harder part is as we get down to smaller groups of apps. So we have one now just for all high school math students, having now to coordinate that with course codes Those are pieces, but we've been doing it now, so that works. So now when a kid leaves a math class, the calculator app from TI Instruments is $40, stays in that course code. He comes off of his iPad, the next kid that enrolls has that available for their iPad. So that's been a great piece for this as well. And then we just couldn't do that without those kind of areas. And then we got down to our Casper Focus. We'll talk a little bit more about each of these, but teachers are just beginning to use Casper Focus, and we'll talk about that if you're not familiar with that. Okay, go. There we go. Okay, so why Jamf and Casper? You know, honestly, when we're deciding, I don't know. We were looked at. There's like 3 or 4 major players for MDMs in the industry right now. We had just worked with Apple and worked with some other districts and visited other districts and saw what they're using, and we kind of just liked Jamf, and we liked what they're offering. The people are pretty nice as well, and so that helped us in that area. And then they had local folks for us to work with out of Seattle, which is great because we had other districts already in there. I can't get this thing to work. Okay, so this is what we've done here. Security, distribution apps. Okay, so I'll just read off my thing. I was just reading it. So, okay, so what it's done for us, again, it allows us to deploy our iPads. We're able to manage them. We're able to wipe them when they lose them, change passwords. We're able to disable the device. It allows our students that want to download Twitter every day to take their camera away, to put a 20-character passcode, all these pieces that helps to kind of deter them from getting there. We start off about 8 blocked apps. We go, okay, these are the 8. No one's going to use these, and we have like 95 right now, and it grows like every day. I did not know there's so many chat apps out there, and then we figured out, oh, well, you can't get this. Well, I'll just get a VPN, and they do that too. These are our middle school students, right? So they are like, they're the best, 6 through 8. The high school kids, they've already seen it. They've been to all the sites they shouldn't be in, and it's okay, and they do all this stuff already. The 6th graders are like, wow, I got this device, and I can try to get anywhere I want. So that's been our struggle of managing that part. Part of us, we just really want to open up the App Store and let them go hog wild. Then we got all these parents and board members that don't. And so as a teacher, they have to put an app request in, we approve it, then we scope it, and then they get to download it in self-service. And so it's a process. So that's not necessarily good for timely learning and instruction. At the same time, we have to have some layers of filters, even if it's just for show. And some of these pieces are, because I have kids that lock their device every day. We have restrictions set, so every day they come in and they have something else downloaded. So now the principal has to add discipline, and so it becomes a lot of different workflow for everybody in the district. That just becomes it's the same problem behavior-wise. It's just another device to do it on. So that's kind of where we are with Jamf, and that's how it works there. The device enrollment program. So obviously, we connect to that. They automatically enroll. The great part of this is when I have a pawn shop call me and say, hey, I got a Bethel iPad, because they got the iPad with a hello screen, right? And so they're like, oh, great, iPad brand new. I can just open this up. Well, they don't test it and they don't know. So once they open that up, connect to Wi-Fi, hits the internet, oh, DEP, Jamf, your Bethel, locked down again, right? And so now they're stuck, and it's this continual loop. So that's a really cool feature. And so we had some of our iPads come back that way, even for kids that sold to another kid. And so as that word's gotten out, we're having less of that happen, because it's not really a worthwhile device. Hardware-wise, I guess, if a kid really, there's a market for screens out there, maybe could do it. But beyond that, it really makes the device not usable. So that's a great piece of that. Again, configure it up automatically enrolled, and the self-service is pushed out. So we talked a little about this already. I kind of skipped around, that's what I do, sorry. But really, we just use it to get our stuff, and I talked about the TI calculator, and this is great because our students now don't have to go buy an $80 or $100 Texas Instruments calculator. We're providing that. So not only are we able to manage to keep this license and distribute to all math kids, we're providing equity for our kids and the ability for their teachers not to have the shoe rack in the classroom, but they have to trade a ASB card for the calculator and make sure all of them are back, and that they're spray painting the back so that they all are neon orange so they don't lose track of all those calculators. So this is a great piece for us not to do. So VPP has been a lifesaver for that piece and getting those there. The biggest is retained ownership. We have some special education apps that are $200, $400, $600, and before those were just bought, and they're kind of like, we're bought. And okay, now we own those forever. And we right now scope to the user, but recently with the updates, device can be scoped, and so we look on transitioning to that down the line as we do that. We have our own app store. Like I said, the high school kids have the regular app store, and then we have this app store as well, the Bethel's app store. The bonus of that, though, is that anything in that app store that we provide is free. So we have paid apps in there, and then we obviously have a lot of free apps, but that's the big bonus there for the students. The other one is there's no way we could ever touch every iPad, and so that's the big bonus for there. Again, the curricular apps. And then we also are working on personalizing. So as we're getting smart groups built, it could be only for 6th graders, high school kids, one math class. We have one German teacher that's begging me to block all translations apps because it's killing his students' language acquisition. So I guess I can, because I don't know if you've used a lot of them, but they're pretty cool. And if you have your iPad, there's some that you just hold it over the menu and it translates it right there, bang. Now, is it always right? No, because it's a translation app, just like Google Translate. But if I block Google Translate app, the kids go to Safari and go to Google Translate website. So it's kind of this, cat and mouse and circular game. Do we really do that, or is another thing that the teacher has to work around? Also, I don't know what other students in the school district are maybe using the Translate app. Maybe a paraeducator is using it to help a student that has a second language. We probably have about 20 in our district right now. Some of our districts in our state, Tukwila, next to the airport in Seattle, has I think 85 different languages. It's the most diverse school in the entire state, entire country, and it's amazing to see how anything functions there, because it's just a great pool of kids that speak all different languages and come from all over the world. So it's awesome to see. It's just, man, what a struggle there. I've known a friend that was a vice principal there, and it's definitely a new challenge that if you haven't had that one. So these are the kind of pieces, how we balance those apps for teachers and students. We could do that, but now we're taking one teacher with those course codes just for German, and now we're adding another layer of workload for IT. So we're trying to balance what's good for the classroom, what's good for kids. That's our number one priority, but we also got to be able to support it. If we can't support it, then we can't say yes to everything. So that's kind of one thing we've learned. Casper Focus is really more of a classroom management tool for teachers. So I do have a bunch of 6th graders. I really want them to learn this math problem. I can take Casper Focus and tell them their iPads are off, or they're all in the calculator app only. So I can do some classroom control pieces that allow that to help me there. And it's really the focus on students. It's tied to our student information system, and so that is a great tool for our staff that really like that, to be able to have some controls as opposed to everyone put them away or whatever. If you're in that focused session and the kid reboots their iPad or gets out, it just takes them right back into it. So it's kind of fun to watch that too. But man, you see, they'll try. They persevere. We want them to persevere in math class more like that than working their iPad. So we talked about that, automatic guided access, so we use it for testing and efficiency and instruction. So we have, again, not all our teachers using it, but the ones I think need have a more squirrely class are kind of doing that. Success stories. This is one of our first deployments last January. We did a mid-year deployment too, so talk about crazy. So this was 750 middle school students, and we didn't know anything what we were doing. There's no kiosk mode for U13, and we just kind of went for it anyway. So it worked, and the school has been high maintenance because A, they wanted the iPads, but B, now they want everything to work perfectly. But we're like, you're getting iPads, and we're trying to help you to help us figure out how to do this before we get to high schools. So that's a good conversation to have if you're going to be deploying to even part of a company or part of a district. let those folks know if you're still learning what you're doing, part of that is giving them out and seeing what goes wrong, right? And so they have to realize that the frustration is going to be there. The other cool part we've really put out there is every classroom that we're doing one-to-one is we put Apple TVs. And so we put those in conference mode. They can get onto AirDrop and then or AirPlay, and then they get the code and they take over the screen. So it's really changing the flow of our teachers that had a document camera, a computer, everything stuck at the front of the classroom. Now they're walking around with their iPad. Their screen is on the screen from the Apple TV. They're annotating or highlighting on that. They can send that or AirDrop to their students, the document. They want to have, Bobby, hey, I'm going to see how you did that math problem. We released Apple TV. Johnny picks up the Apple TV even from his desk and he does it. So it's the same thing of coming to the front of the room, but not having to come to the front of the room anymore. And we're seeing kids really participate a lot more with that. And it's a way for the teacher not to be turning their back all the time. It's great. They really like it. And so that's one of the pieces that we are really proud of, is getting the Apple TVs out. Again, not the easiest thing in the world, but it's changing how our teachers teach. And they're no longer sitting here. I can actually walk back and see if kids are doing their work without leaving my teaching station. A lot of them have the audio pieces as well on some of our newer schools, so it really makes them a mobile teacher. Apple ID and Kiosk. So, gosh, that was, again, the four-letter word. We did Kiosk this fall for our deployment. And so we'd have students come in, we check, do they have an Apple ID? Yes, I swear to God I have one. Okay, so then we would go and they would log in and just prove it. We say, verify, can't find it. I thought you had one. Well, I lost my password. Okay, so do you have an email address? Yes. What's your email? Do you know your password email? Oh, no. So it was a cycle of getting that information. And then, but then we had the kiosk there say, well, punch your name in. Just go ahead, do it, let's see. Well, green, it comes up, there they are. They're enrolled in the program, so then we can finish their Apple ID right off that kiosk. We use the little iPad minis for them to do it, and it's a much shorter input for them to finalize that. So it's amazing. Every time you go through the whole cycle, we have everything, and then they're in kiosk mode, they're ready to go, and they didn't have one. Our problem is one of the issues we had, and Jeff and Paula can even talk about it more, is when we had a kid in there, and then we made an Apple ID somewhere else, and then we get into this like circle of death, and I don't know how do you get out of that death cycle. It's you die, that's all it is. And so then so we have that, it's just awful, and the parents are like crying, and it's bad, but we have this foundational app piece too. So one of the things we wanted to do, not just approve every app every teacher wanted. As a technology department, I also have the instructional side. So we wanted to have PD and our technology teachers on special assignments, we call them our TOSAs, to be able to help teachers. I can't have a TOSA learn 250 apps really well, but I can have them learn 20 apps really well. And then we can surround our PD with that, and we can offer higher levels of that PD as we tier it throughout the years going forward. And we've tied that into a 5-year PD plan that we're building. And so we have these, like Notability is one of our foundational apps, and it's used in every subject area. We're using it from kindergarten all the way up to seniors, and but we can support that. And so what we really, I think it's a good learning piece for us. That was a good decision that we made early on, was to really focus on apps. And if we're going to buy an app like Notability and spend 3 or 2 or 4, depends on the day, you check the prices, they change. You need to know that that's what you want to do, because once you spend that on 18,000 licenses, you're going to make sure that you're going to use that stuff. So the free ones are easy, but when you start even $2 a piece, adds up really fast. And then purchase and process time, I think we probably underestimated how long that takes. Sometimes you order and your iPads show up in 2 days, and we're like, hey, how does that happen? It's like magic. And then you order them 3 weeks in advance, and next they're not showing up, and you really need these things. And so I think just being ahead of the game on that area. We also did a lease, and we've done purchases. We have a combination of them. So that is a whole different workflow as well, working with Apple Finance, and getting contracts done and the side on their side and our side. Real flexible, but then we have to have everything board approved. Anyway, so there's a piece that we learned there is there's more time needed than you have. In the end, we could push stuff back though 6 months, and we'd probably still be sitting in the same spot and not feel like we're ready and have enough time to do that. And then the workflow, really having a lot of having more people know everything that's going on than less. We try to, kind of need to know basis. We're not, some structure where it's like so secret compartments and, you have to have codes. But I also want to value people's time, and they have specialties. But right now, I realize everyone needs to know how to fix an iPad password. Everyone needs to know how to navigate the menus on an iPad. There's some simple functions on iPads that all of our staff need to be able to answer in 1 second. So now we went from training just a few people to training everybody, and everyone has an iPad. So all our technicians got one to use now for their field work to do their work orders. It was simple as just changing what device that they used for the same software, but now they're using the iPad. So now they're familiar with the menus just because they have to use it every day. So those are little pieces that we've learned, even from a librarian to the paraeducators in the classroom. Whoever's supporting a student gets one too, so they can all have one. And so it does expand that scope, but definitely is a piece there. So at that, I think I spoke enough. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much. That's our quick version of what we've been doing, and it's been a pretty big roller coaster for us. But I think overall, we could be in a much worse position, and the kids and teachers are, for the most part, it depends on the day, are working great. The only thing I'll add is we had a parallel track as well as infrastructure upgrades. So at the same time, we had a coverage model mainly for our Wi-Fi. We've been building a density model for our deployments. So it's taken a lot of time, a lot of money, and another, again, parallel track of planning to make sure that if you have 1,000 iPads in a school now, will they hit the Wi-Fi and go, because I've met some schools that they got all these computers and they can't get online. They're like, oh yeah, we didn't forget about that Wi-Fi, right? So we actually hit the other day over, 14,000? 14,000 simultaneous devices were on our network. So now it doesn't mean they could just have their phone connected, right? They might not be pulling data, but it was pretty amazing that we had 14,000 devices, wireless devices. And this is only with the high schools now. So our capacity level, what do we have to be at? We're trying to plan for 2 to 3 devices per person. And we have lunchrooms full of students of 700. So the first lunch has 700 students, and the security guard who has an iPad now wants to look up something. We have to have enough Wi-Fi that he can actually get on Wi-Fi in the cafeteria because all those kids have an iPad too. So when I tell my operations director, I go, hey, we needed like 700 seats in that cafeteria. He's like, 700? I go, well, yeah, we have more devices in that lunchroom. And if I have a vice principal that can't work because their Wi-Fi is getting pulled, it's a problem. So then it's like, well, what's enough and what's too much? And we're trying to find that balance. We're kind of building 400 seats right now in our commons, gym area, and our auditorium. And then we'll see how that works. Right now we have about 100 seats just because of either bleeding or some other stuff going on in the building. But so that's the other piece that we definitely don't forget is the upgrades to the internal systems. So that's good. Yep. So questions?
Yeah, I just think that the common theme throughout your presentation has been how you've adapted, from year to year. We've used iPads and Casper for about 4 years or so, and so I had to laugh at your cafeteria because our point of sales were Wi-Fi, and in our first year we allowed Casper wide open. It was the Wild West.
Sure.
And lunchtime was gaming time, and it shut everything down. And so it's finding that balance of flexibility for teachers and students, yet having some limits for students. And I'm curious about, you mentioned one of the things that we finally resolved to do this year was put configuration profiles in that if a student had something outside of self-service, that they were locked in a single app mode. And we gradually built up to that level.
Okay.
Last year it was like first you remove the camera, then you remove
Right.
Those kinds of things, and then lastly, so we started this year
Okay.
with locking them in a single app mode, and that initial week is hell.
Right.
One of these too, where if they have another Apple device and it syncs to that device, they inadvertently get something on there.
Right.
Like that. But it is about adapting to the changes so that you find the right fit. It sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
I was curious about how your student information system Casper focused because we really have not had good luck with that yet.
Well, it's a manual upload.
Okay, so it is.
Yeah. And
So if somebody changes,
yeah.
you've got to upload that.
Right.
Exactly. I run it about every 2 weeks.
You can hold this one so you can.
Just use it. I get the extract from our programmer every week, but I only run it every 2 weeks, and it creates, right now it's creating close to 2,000 classes.
What system do you use? What student information?
Skyward.
Skyward.
Yeah. Yeah, the piece is in the beginning of the school year, it's tough because all the kids are changing classes so much, and you have all these new enrollments. Now, we don't have to do it every couple of weeks now because they're more stable. But we also have to educate our staff that there's a lag time on those updates. And then the other problem we had is when we were talking about, we also added an LMS. Canvas is a learning management system, so we also have integration with that. And so our script was putting kids in, but it wasn't pulling kids out. So if a kid left the class, they would still have all these students. Well, last year we piloted Canvas, and I don't think teachers cared because they were just trying to dabble with it. This year, it was amazing how many teachers from day one had everything ready to rock and roll on Canvas, and now they're calling. I have one kid in my class still. He was left yesterday at 3 o'clock, and I don't know why he's still in my class today at 8 a.m. You know, so it's like, wow, okay, we're ready for this, right? So we had to actually update that script to actually pull kids out because we didn't know it was a problem until you find the problem, right? And so.
I laugh about educating your staff because, making sure that, we have some staff that say, hey, just go out to the app store and grab this, and they would, and
Right.
every physics kid is locked in a single app mode.
Right.
So there are,
Well, the other part is too, so if we have a student download Tumblr, it puts restrictions on their iPad. If they delete that app, it'll recover back for them automatically, but it takes up to 24 hours. So that's one of the things we ought to educate as well, is that unless you're pulling them out manually, which we do, but that's labor intensive, especially in the middle school, because everyone comes in with a locked iPad every day. So you have to figure out how that workflow. So putting them in single app mode is great, except now someone has to pull them out, and so that's kind of the piece we're working on. The Apple ID as well, we've been really trying to have them use school. We give email addresses to all our students, and we want them to really use an Apple ID that's a school one. I tell my staff as well, have a personal Apple ID if you have an iPhone product or whatever, and then have your work Apple ID. And don't mix them, because what you don't want is certain things coming back and forth, whatever, and messing up your iPad, or you have next year your iMessage is hitting during a presentation and on your work. So it's just not a good policy, in my opinion. Plus, if you're going to be buying apps, you can log in and log out multiple Apple IDs, but it doesn't work that well as far as I'm concerned, as far as the flow of your work and daily use. So we just try to make sure that they try to do that too.
Mike, you've got a question.
Yeah,
Flip
go
here,
ahead.
You've got one over here too.
Okay, well, go ahead.
What kind of training has been provided to the staff in terms of policy and the technology aspect of using the device in the classroom?
Okay, so as far as like policy around like acceptable use policies and
Not really that, but like, okay, here is a device, we expect you to do
Right.
this with it, and then also, here's how you do it,
okay.
and here's why you have to do it this way, it's an understanding.
Sure. So one, we're really trying to make sure. I hate the word like organic, but we had pilot programs. So like all of our middle schools right now have 4 teachers that have one-to-one iPads. And so I'm trying to answer your question in a kind of a larger plan way. And so they're going to be the seeds we planted, and hopefully they're going to get excited about it, and they're going to try stuff, and then they're going to help staff. So we kind of have this like train-a-trainer model in the classrooms. We work with individual staff. We have a huge PD program in the summer we work with. And then we have our first step was bringing on principals. So last year, all of our principals got a device first, and we put them through lots of, we call them principal academies. And we took a group to Apple. We got some senior staff down there as well, assistant superintendent, so you have to get everyone on board. If everyone's not on the bus, they may not like where they're going all the time on that bus, but they got to get on the bus first, right? So we get them there. The other part is we have a bargaining agreement, okay? So we have a unionized teacher force, so I can't make the teachers use iPads. If they go in the classroom and they say, everyone put all your iPads away, they put all their iPads away. So it's really trying to work with showing the benefit of this program, showing how they can use the device and help them feel more comfortable. And really, the biggest piece is letting staff know it's okay to be out of control at this point, because you can't be in control of students with iPads as far as knowing more than them. I mean, I probably have a couple teachers, staff in my district that are really Apple, geeks, and that's what they live and die for. But my 12-year-old who had one, he shows me glitches on the iPads. And I go, well, how do you find that? And he goes, well, see, you can make it ghost right here if you just keep doing this. I'm like, well, who would do that for 10 minutes? I'm like, I don't stop before you break it. I have to buy an iPad, So but that's what we have. So we have to have our teachers know it's okay to be the facilitator, and that's a big change for a lot of our staff. So it's creating an environment and supporting them. And then we have teacher resources page. We're using iTunes U. We're sending them through Common Sense Media training, so all the bullying and cyber safety, and we have parent boot camps we're adding now for parents to come in and learn more of how to use the iPad and how to check your student's iPad. And you know what? Don't take them to their bedroom with them by themselves. Oh, I can do that? I'm like, yeah, you're the mom, right? But it's amazing the questions we get. It's like, don't do that. So do you let them take their phone? I go, well, I do, but maybe I shouldn't do that either. I'm like, oh, no. So a lot of it's education. So, yep.
It's more user self-education.
Yep.
They go to resources as opposed to you
Yep.
bringing them together and walking through.
We do that, but it's the different pieces in different places. So some schools are ahead, and some schools are not. So they will have different interactions. They also have, we call them like a technology rep in their building that will kind of offer help with suggestions, one-on-one, after school meetings and stuff like that. And we're trying to put together also some video resources for staff to go through. But the iPad's easy to use, luckily, right? And everyone has a touchscreen device, even if it's an Android phone or something. Okay, I'm sorry, did I say that? Sorry. But everyone's used to it, so it's intuitive for even our staff. It's just the students even, a lot of them have never touched the iPad. And so for them to pick it up and learn it too is a challenge. But we haven't had a lot of problems with that. It's more of the teachers with bad discipline, and this makes it worse, right? They don't have any classroom management, they're awful now. Okay, but everything else is like normal teacher. You have to get out of your desk and walk around, and you have to interact with your kids and see what they're doing. I mean, it's a normal process. It's just now they have an iPad. So.
What do you guys think of damaged iPads? Do you guys think Apple Care?
So the question was, what do we do with damaged iPads? Right now we connect with a company out of Mercer Island that we collect when we get about 12 or 10 or 12, we'll box them up, ship them out, we get them back that week. We don't do Apple Care, we self-insure, so we provide coverage through the district that parents can purchase. We have tiered pricing systems for regular income students, low income, and then free and reduced lunch students. They get like 2 replacements a year for like cracked screens. And then they start hitting the deductible and cost. If they lose their iPad, they get one loss with a $50 replacement, basically. And then if they lose it again, it's full price. So we basically have a tiered way of replacing devices and repairing them. We're averaging about $82 right now for a repair on an iPad. So that's working out pretty well. We can't do it with our own staff for that cost, and we don't have enough scale to even buy the parts to do it, and then the time is just, onesie Tuesday's not worth it. So
We also have the OS support agreement with Apple.
yeah, and the OS support agreement with Apple we have as well. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Have you figured out the replacement side for your devices?
Yeah, well, we're hoping our 3 years our cycle right now. We're going to do 4 years. We believe the hardware will be fine for 4 years. The OS updates worry me because those tied to apps. So next thing you know, the newest app won't download even though your iPad still works. And now we have iPad 1s that still work, but you can't download any of the new apps. So what we want to do is go to 3 years though, because we came to the point where we thought, well, if I have a teacher and I have a classroom and the cycle as we start going, well, kids will get different aged iPads eventually. Right now they're all new, so it all works out easy. It won't be clean here really soon. So if I have a teacher with an iPad with 4 and a 1, I can't do the same thing with my students. So we're going to go 3 because we believe we're going to be in a window at that point where we have residual value if we'll trade in, and we also can have the teacher doing the same activity with all kids. So it costs more, but I don't know that we have a choice. I'm too afraid of doing 4. Yeah. I have a question over there. Yeah.
How much of the process do you automate before you actually hand the device out? Like we
Okay,
We're a much smaller school district.
Right.
I mean, for your scale, it's gotta be impossible.
right. We do that with our carts. You know, we have some carts out there, but we can do that. But now we put those into, we scope those as well, so we can send them all out. But we use one Apple ID for each cart. But those are for like elementary, like a fifth grade classroom that are not going home. So every kid does have an individual individual device, but we don't have to worry about the ID issue there. We don't do hardly any configuring before we give them. We barcode them, and that's all we do. Yeah, and so they go through the whole process, which is a learning curve, trust me, and it changes that workflow when they come in and there's nothing, and they got to set up the whole device. On the flip side, they get to set up the whole device, and so there's no way we could do them all, but it's fine most of the time. Most kids.
Like the K through twos?
We set those up, yeah, but those are cart based. What?
I said
Yeah.
the same thing,
Yeah, we just do those in carts, so those are easy. And like I said, then we still send those through self-service as well.
And you're using a single ID
For a cart, one per cart, yeah. All right, you're next. Okay, up there in the middle? Yeah.
I have a question about your mid-year deployment. How did you organize that?
So I have a very impatient superintendent, and we also have a voting population that's great. They support us, but didn't understand how we get funding. They vote in February. Where's our devices, right? Well, we don't even get money until the following, like May, it's like 15 months after the fact when we collect on a tax levy. So we had to figure out something. So I was able to borrow some money basically, and we did some shell stuff from the capital fund that I could replace when the levies come. But so that was my funding problem. Once I got past the money issue, we really had to decide. Gosh, we decided to do devices. I would tell you, it was probably the September that we're going to do it in January, and we hadn't officially put out we're doing iPads. We all knew internally we were going to do it, but we still had a sell game. We had gone through venues and Surface tablets and Chromebooks and Airs, everything, but we had to get to that part. So that was hard. So deciding a device early was more important, earlier than we did. And then we had to just grab a couple schools. We picked the principals we thought that were ready to do it, that had the leadership to bring their staff along. We looked at a staff that said, you know, are they a bunch of complainers? Are they going to file a grievance against us? Or are they going to be okay with this? And then we had a few pilot programs in the schools we chose, and we grabbed the whole staff and helped them sell it. And then we just planned, and we met weekly with the building principal of two of the schools we did. We did actually alternative high school, 9 to 12. There's a scary event, okay? By far our biggest loss and damage. Damage not so much anymore. Still loss. I think they're probably there. Damage our middle school. So anyway, we met weekly and got everyone on board, and we also met with parent meetings and kind of tried to jumpstart that. But it was really a lot of time face to face, a lot of time. But it paid off in the end. When things go wrong and people know you and they know what you're trying to do, they know you spent time doing it, they can't get mad at you as much. You know, they can be frustrated, but they don't hate you. So that's always a good part. So spend the time with the people, and then they accept all the mistakes. Yeah, there. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Real quick,
Yep.
Obviously there are a lot of schools who use iPad.
Yep.
This is more of an Apple question than a Jamf. But then there are other schools and certainly Apple competitors who say, oh, for testing you have to have a physical keyboard. What is the real answer to that?
Oh, okay, so yeah, you do have to have a keyboard. So what we do is we provide, we bought 1/3 of the devices we deploy come with a keyboard. So if we give you 1,000, we're giving you 300 keyboards too. So those are just for testing. And if they want to check them out to the language arts teachers during the school year, they can. We did a lot of looking and asking questions on iPad schools and of our current students, because we rotated, like I said, about 6 different types of devices out there for students, and overwhelmingly they still chose the iPad at the end, and none of them care about a keyboard. So we decided not to give keyboards, and the teachers were the ones that said, hey, we were the keyboards. Well, we don't need them, the kids don't want them, but we do have them for testing. And we have the plug-in keyboards, which we didn't want to worry about pairing all those keyboards, but they cost a lot more. That's the only bad side effect. They're about $45 probably a piece. Yeah. Okay, up there.
You had made a bedroom comment. I'm assuming that you're not filtering internet content outside of the district. And how did you convince parents that parenting is better than streaming?
Well, I haven't convinced all the parents. Especially the guy that goes, I just don't like Apple. I said, okay, well, at least we got to the root cause of your argument for the last 20 minutes. So we do web filter in district, and we do have a product that I'll be really nice. It hasn't worked well for us. We have a product called Securely, and we've struggled with getting that to work consistently. And so we turned it on, in fact, again this last Tuesday after some updates, and we had to turn it back off
I turned it off yesterday.
yesterday. So, because they go home and they can't get to their homework. It blocks the canvas and they can't get to the math page. So it's a weird thing. So we don't have a good content filter off-site. I do have a couple board members that think that's really important that we do. We do have parents that are concerned, although parenting is number one, but their kid comes home and they're not home. So now what, right? So we work with parents on that as well, saying, well, maybe you don't give them a Wi-Fi password. Maybe you have to be home for that, or whatever. Maybe you shouldn't leave the power cord to the Xbox while you're gone all day. They may not be able to play it, So we tried those things, but we're not very good right now with content filtering off-site. So if someone has a really good solution, we'd love to know that too. Someone down here, up there.
Just a quick question, what's your state use for testing?
Which app? Well, we're SBAC and we doing, what app was it?
We use Star.
Star,
Air Secure Test.
Air Secure.
Those are the two.
Okay, there, in the shadows.
Good suggestion for the content filtering. There are browsers where you can actually set a whitelist. So if you knew the websites that you guys needed to allow for your students,
Sure.
you actually disable the Safari browser and only allow that browser and have a whitelist of sites that they can access, and that's it. So
Yep.
that's something that I've done in the educational world.
Okay.
And it's worked really well.
Okay, thank you.
So just a suggestion.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, another one.
What else do you use in your environment as far as for student use? Like, do you have a student email system or like Google Docs or Office 365 or what?
Yeah, we're a Google Docs district. We have Gmail accounts for all of our students. And then, like I said, we now use a Canvas as a learning management system. And then Skyward is our SIS that has a parent access portal as well. So those are the student support pieces that we provide. Yeah.
With your CART laptops, how many devices can you assign to one Apple ID? And how do you get around the payment restriction when you're pushing apps to those devices?
Well, I'll answer the first part. I'll let Jeff answer the second one. As far as I know, you can assign as many as you want. I know of a school out there that has one Apple ID for every student in their school. I don't think that's a preferred method of deployment by Apple. But as far as I know, I don't think there's a limit on that. And then what was the?
Right now, we're using about 30 in a cart to one.
We don't have any issues deploying the apps to them. No.
No, it works.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
How does iOS now and device and app distribution going to change?
Well, I think the one part we're going to do is we right now scope everything to users, and we're going to start scoping to devices. The workflow on that, though, we're trying to figure out when to do that, and so we don't want to do it right now, but we probably need to do maybe it's the end of year cleanup where we remove and pull back all of our apps and then redeploy them. We also have another problem that was kind of a mistake through our accounting department. We have two apps, two VP accounts, and so we have about 7,500 apps in one, and then all the rest of the apps in the other. But of course, the 7,500 is one of our paid apps, and then since we're deploying now weirdly, it's not all together. Now some people have to accept two, and then they're saying no, and then they send it again, and they say no, and it's like, ugh. So we got to figure out how to. We're trying to merge that, but we're gonna probably get denied maybe. But we're asking Apple to help us there. Yeah, thanks. I need it. Yes. Yeah.
Are you having airplay issues?
Some days. Yeah, it's very intermittent. We had a training last week, and we were playing some videos, and 3 teachers in a row got on, played, and the next one it was like, just. Yeah, it could be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have airplay across the
just across the board. Doesn't work. Conference mode, yep.
How is that different than not using conference mode?
It provides that password, so that way we can't have a student in the hallway take over the Apple TV and do whatever.
Password or without conference mode?
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, so I guess I don't have a good answer to that question then, if there's a difference. Yeah,
We just know this, like, we would jump from 15 one year, 15 Apple devices on a flat network, like, just meaning everybody was on the same network.
Right.
Apple TVs. We went to 60 last year, it was crazy. Apple actually said 50 is the limit, like, if you get to 50, you're gonna have an optical experience, right? On a flat network, I don't know what you guys' networks look like. Our head school said, we gotta have one in every classroom, that's over 100 Apple TVs.
right,
Right, so we had to deal in. And what, don't get fooled into thinking like Hardware Gateways are gonna help you, they're not. You got a VLAN, and what we found is like 15 or fewer in a VLAN. So we had to cut up our network, after we did that, boom, we're straight.
Huh.
No problem at all.
okay. Excellent. Right. New one over here.
Talking about foundational apps,
Yep.
what's kind of the workflow of deciding which ones to go out and you block the app store at all?
So the question was foundational apps. How do we determine which ones go into that realm? We don't block the App Store in high school right now, and so that makes it kind of complicated because the teacher can just download something that they want. But they still submit approvals, which is great because teachers are rule followers mostly, so that helps. But our pilot group really helped us. We have a teacher feedback piece where we met every week for a year with our pilot teachers, and they'd come back and share, and it was amazing. They showed up every week, and they would talk about what apps work. And so we really just worked through the piece of what do kids need to be able to do, what do teachers need to be able to do, what is the best app to accomplish that task. So it's kind of really going through the workflow of determining what it was our need, and then finding the app that fit that need. And there's multiple in many cases, and then really drilling down to which app, maybe these are the same, but this one's free. So we'll grab that one. This one's a little bit better, but not worth the money. And this one is $3, but man, it's super awesome. So we kind of layer that out, but really it was determining need first and then trying to solve that problem. Yeah, okay. Aruba. Yeah. Yes, sure. I think that was decided before I got there. I don't know, I would do something different now. We've had when we added a new controller this year, we've had some troubles, and we're just trying to find some root causes. But when it's running, it runs great, and we have no problem. It's just we've had some changes in a new data center that has caused layers for us to troubleshoot at the same time. And so when you're trying to do that also with the new capacity, it's just frustrating for staff. So yeah, I saw a hand right down here.
You mentioned the calculator app
Yep.
for the math class, and I wondered, are you automating that through with your SIS or are you doing it?
Yeah, that's automated. Yep. So that uploads daily at the very minimum. Yeah, manually automated it. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, so the hardest part is getting all those course codes, because when you go through a SIS system that's been built for years, you have so many, and if you miss one of the course codes that those kids are in, they're not in it. So that was the manual piece, but once that's built, it automatically scripts up every day. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you physically deploying out the iPads to students to do that before school, class time?
Right.
How big is the team do you have to iPads?
Yeah, so when we deploy, what does it look like? So we've done it differently. We've done it in school, and we've done it before school. This year we did it before school. Pros were no one had classes, you didn't lose a class day. The cons were any problems that kids had, they called the tech department because no one was in school. So that was a lesson learned, that don't do it like 3 weeks before school starts, because you'll be inundated with helpline calls or emails or whatever. So we've done a couple different ways. This next year, our plan is to do them like math books. We want to treat it like a math book. We want the teacher not to take it away, because they wouldn't take their math book away if the kid's late to class. So we're trying to get this whole new workflow of how you should treat an iPad. It is a required curricular tool for student learning. It's not a thing to take away because they were hitting the kid with a drumstick, right? So that's a piece. But we're going to try to hopefully check them out like they would take the whole class down during advisory, check out their iPads from the library. They scan them out of barcodes, and off they go. That's the plan for next year. Yeah. We have not let them keep, oh. Well, we haven't got there yet for those grades, but our plan was that's leaving those in the classroom. The 6th grade, the other ones follow. So if I have a 6th grade iPad, I get that same one in 7th grade, same case, the whole 9 yards. The trick part is we're starting to cycle now, and it's going to get ugly. So, yeah.
For your actual cards, do you have like a recommendation of what kind of cards to have?
We like the, Paula, what's our cart? Anthro carts right now. We've been using Anthros. We probably have 5 different models in our warehouse from years, but right now we've been buying Anthro. We like them a lot. Their profile is really, really nice. Okay, a couple more, I guess, here.
You said you have cards in grades 5 and below.
Right.
Where one per user. Can you talk about your process of deploying apps to those devices mid-year, and is there any level of user interaction? Do you just push them without the people, the students, self-service, or say agreeing yes or no? Have minimal success with that piece with user interaction?
Right. So Jeff could correct me if I'm wrong. How do we deploy the carts in the elementary? We put the self-service on those devices and we accept it. And then once we've accepted everything, we put them in the cart, we deliver them, and then we can push apps all day long because they're already enrolled and accepted.
They actually download them themselves from self-service.
Now and then they download from the self-service app. But we set them up more than we would do the high school. Otherwise, we're having a 1st grader accepting or not accepting, and then next thing you know, we're kind of done. Yeah. Got a question here? No?
He did have.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, what cases are you guys using for your iPad?
Yeah, the one we like the best right now is STM Case. It folds over, it has a magnetic clip, really fast. You can get them on Apple at volume. He has one right there for $29 instead of like $48 on Amazon as a single one. So that was a good thing for us. And they have a clear back for our barcodes so that we can scan them without having to take off the case. And we've had less breakage with those since we put them on. That's another lesson learned. Spend more money in a case, otherwise you pay more for a screen. Yeah. Yeah, and they're good. They only come in like 3 colors though, which is the only downside. But they said they might come out more colors, but schools want everything personalized, right? So, okay. Okay, really quick. Hi. Yeah, go ahead. I know you guys are busy. Thanks. Yep.
Is there any way to unlink an iPad that's Find My iPad? How do you unlink that if you don't know the user can't get in contact with the user?
Yeah, you could get, Jamf will do it. We get about 95% of them through Jamf to clear out for us now. And the other 5% we have to have Apple help us. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, thanks everybody.